District of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And I had to go through the Freedom of Information Act. They wouldn't just let me ask the questions. Can you imagine? And I often laugh about that, is go, God, do we have to go that far here? Okay. And so, of course, I had to do my letter in the correct format for a Freedom of Information Act. And I get a letter back, and I talk to the gal, and she says, yeah, we got it. We put them in storage, and if you'll wait just a little while, we're going back through and doing a finding aid of everything that's there, because what I was asking for was specifically what first-generation sites they had.
Right.
Fred told me at the time he was in Omaha. He was in the room when they had those in the Microfish drawers, and he got to see all of it. He couldn't tell me for sure there was the Walker sites, but he could describe all the other ones. Well, I know this for a fact because Lee Guidry, that owns the Cortland, Nebraska Atlas F site, he got a complete set of those microfilm or microfish they made for him. It cost Lee a bloody ass fortune. And Lee was in San Diego, and then Lee sent them to me. We got them digitized. And then we got them blown up into paper copies, big E-size prints. And because originally, the first set of prints I came across was through John Ferret at Site 11 in Roswell. Well, I mean, to understand some of this, again, the synchronicity, how this ties into Titan I, I'll explain here in just a second. But anyway, this is how it always goes, Bryce. It just, one little thing opens up this door that will then bring you back. And trying to look for, if I'm not mistaken, they had all of the Titan I prints. Not only for Denver, what we call the Lowry sites, but they had them for Mountain Home, they had them for Ellsworth, they had them for Larson, and they had them for Beale. So, to me, those would be extremely helpful. And then, I mean, the toughest sites to me, of all of them, I'll just give you the intro is going to be the Mountain Home sites whenever you're ready to do those. I mean, that's a tough egg. Mountain Home is tough because they did some real nasty things. Yeah.
They're pretty much
allowed
gone.
Nasty things to happen. Yeah, and they should have never done that. And I can say that. I honestly can. Some of the things that were done at those sites should have never occurred. Yeah, and what I mean by that was the storage of undocumented waste.
Yeah, they're pretty much gone.
Oh, look, I mean, Orchard's there, Brunel. I mean, it very little is you can make out. You'll see from some of my photographs. The other one, I forget the name of it. But that was the toxic waste dump, and so was Brunel. Yeah. I mean, and this is what's funny. My dad and I are coming back from Washington State. My grandmother was in the nursing home, and my grandfather was still living. And so it was my spring break. It was when the shots were taken of the Mountain Home sites on Siloworld for present day. Uh-huh. And my dad's there next to the door. We're coming back from the Washington sites over my spring break, 1985. I had a month to graduate. Coming through, we stopped, and how we found, I said, look, we have got to go through Idaho. And of course, my father at the time going, it's a little bit out of our way, Gary. And I'm like, I don't care. We got to go through the Idaho sites. We're here. Yeah. We may never do this again. That's okay? Right. And I said, we've got to do this. Well, lo and behold, we hit Mountain Home, Idaho, which, of course, the Air Force Base is also named Mountain Home. Right. But we arrive into Mountain Home, Idaho, about 9 o'clock at night. And again, the same story is true in probably April of 1985. And my dad and I, we find this little off the beaten tavern, okay? Walk in and get a beer, sitting there, and of course, I'm just like, I don't know where even one of them are. I have no clue. And so, of course, I'm going to play the game here. And sure enough, come to find out, one guy sitting at the bar was one of the guards.
Nice. That's awesome.
And I still laugh about that one. And he says, "Oh yeah, you go up here and turn here, and the one where the toxic waste dump is. Believe it or not, off the main road to get there, it's Missile Base Road. There's a picture of it that I shot. I just laugh. I mean, but when you drive on it, right? I'll never forget. They let me through the gate. I'm with my dad. We drive up to the office, and that was the time everybody was scared to death. We were reporters, and nuclear waste was really, everybody in the world was afraid of it. Oh my God, what are we going to do? And so anyway, the general manager, there was a trailer, and that's where the general manager's office was, and he let us in. And so I was talking with them, and they had a beautiful picture up on the wall of what that site originally looked like. And looking back on it, I should have shot a picture of it.
Yeah.
But he said, "No, we don't want you to take any pictures." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." But you couldn't make anything out. There was no distinguishing features any longer left.
Damn.
Okay. And of course, the trucks are coming in all the time with the waste, and all the people in the hazmat suits and the this and that. I was just sick from what I saw. And I'll never forget, this is a quote. You may want to take this out of the sharing it with everybody.
Yeah, well, all right.
I said to the guy, he asked me this and that, and I said, "I don't give a shit about your company, but what I see here is an absolute wrong." And I just, not that I'm anti-nuclear, but I was more hurt by, of course, it was done at a missile base, number one. And I just, it just rubbed me the wrong way. And, he was just so worried that I was a writer for the New York Times. And, no, I'm not.
What were they doing, like dumping it straight into the silos?
Well, I mean, you couldn't tell. I mean, you could see the hazmat guys running around, and you couldn't make out where anything was originally. It was all buried.
Damn.
Or at least from what I thought. And see, that was the same thing from the hillside that sits next to the Brunel site. It had one of the longest access roads I have ever seen. I mean, it just went on for days. And you're like going, my God, this must have, it's like Roswell, Site 11 for Atlas F. I mean, you don't see, it's, I think we've got one of the only, its access road is 2.5 miles long.
Damn.
You just don't see that. Most all access roads are typically 1,000 to 1,500 feet. But 2.5 miles?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, that cost a pretty penny. So it was the same way for this one site. And so, I'll never forget, my dad and I went out there and we were driving around. And the original exterior fencing is all up. Part of it's come down. They had told me, they said, be careful of this other side because we go out and check on it, but it's the same way. And then I was talking with Fred, see, and I was telling Fred, and I was showing Fred some of those photographs, and Fred showed me that site had been pictured in Wall Street. One of the New York magazines, I don't recall which one, maybe it was Fortune, one of those. And it just showed all of these toxic leaking 55-gallon drums stored one on top of one another in the silo.
Damn.
Right? And you're just like going, oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. Right? And now who's got a lot of great pictures for the Mountain Home sites is the Historical Research Center, the historical, I don't remember if it's in Boise. I think it is in Boise. And because Mountain Home is just a little bit south of Boise. And they were